Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Elliot Ramondo. I'm the city attorney of Jamestown. The mayor has asked me to be here today because unfortunately he's under quarantine, which is something we have to live with for the last 2 years and probably more. I'm here today to present a proclamation from the city of Jamestown to our police department as well as all local police forces regarding Peace Officers Memorial Day and Police Week. We've had Police Officers Memorial Day and Police Week since October 1st, 1962, and it is May 15th of each year. It's dedicated to the memory of public safety officials who have paid the ultimate sacrifice and service to their communities, and this day would be known as Peace Officers Memorial Day. On behalf of our entire community and all city residents, we commend the members of the Jamestown Police Department for their commitment and selfless protection to our residential and business neighborhoods and enforcement of the law of our community. On a personal note, I spoke to a couple of police officers before coming up here today, and we should appreciate police more than just this week. And I think the greatest way to appreciate police is to just be a decent person every day, to wave to the friendly police officers you see coming through, obey the laws, and report things when you see them. On that note, I would like to present this proclamation on this very windy day to the police department on behalf of Mayor Sundquist and introduce our county executive, PJ Wendell, for his remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Elliot. It's truly an honor to be here, and every year, spending a lot of time in the fire service. Law enforcement has always been hand in hand with what we do. But going back to the significance of this week in particular, whether it's fire department personnel, EMTs, police officers, the tragedy took place in Buffalo is a small glimpse of how those men and women never thought twice of what they were doing. They ran in when others were running away. We had a retired Buffalo police officer trying to do what he could to stop the situation, but unfortunately his life was claimed as well. We can't take for granted these men and women. There's been a great divide in this country in the criticism of the police, but at the same time, amongst that criticism, people never hesitated to ask if these men and women were going to rush in when they were running away. So I'd like to thank personally each and every one of the individuals, our law enforcement community, and our first responders. Interestingly enough, this past week I was out to dinner and saw several of Jamestown's retirees, Larry Wallace, Mike Garrett, John Farrar, and in the parking lot they said, yours must be ringing. Dave Mitchell's on his way. Dave and I have had a long-lasting friendship. But the reason I say that is Dave's tragedy was one of the most recent here in the city of Jamestown. And the dedication that Dave exemplified is carried on in his two sons, one working for Jamestown Police Department and now one as a New York State Trooper. So this heritage, this bloodline that these men and women represent goes deeper than just themselves. This is a family, this is a history, and this is a group that we cannot forsake. And it should be a daily reminder, not a week that we spend thanking our peace officers and police officers. So on behalf of myself, I'd like to personally thank our members of the state police, the sheriff's department, Jamestown Police Department, and all of our local police agencies who protect us day and night. Without them, this world would be a much, much different place. Thank you. At this time, I would like to announce and introduce our Assemblyman, Andy Goodell.
Thank you, PJ, for those comments. Over the last year or two, we've seen a movement to defund the police. And for me, it's an astounding misperception of how valuable our police are to every one of us, and especially valuable those who live in higher crime areas. We are so fortunate here in Chautauqua County that compared to so many other areas, we live in a relatively safe community. Where I have my home out in the countryside, we know our neighbors. They know us. And we are so fortunate that law in Albany when I reached out to the state police to report that someone had borrowed my car. Turns out they were a terrible driver. Totaled it within 6 hours after stealing it. But I was so lucky that I was able to talk to a state trooper within minutes. And they caught that individual within days. And that's what happens in Chautauqua County as well. And if we want safe communities, if we want our friends and neighbors to be safe in their own home, if we want to be able to keep possession of our own property that we bought and paid for with our own hard-earned money, we rely day in and day out to our police and our law enforcement. And when things go wrong and we pick up that phone, what a blessing it is to know that our EMS or our fire departments are on their way within minutes. That's not true everywhere, but it's true here in Chautauqua County. Every opportunity I get, I vote to support our men and women who are in law enforcement and in the fire service and the EMS, because I know that when I need their help and when my neighbors need their help and when the community needs their help, they will be there for us. It's important that we're here for them. It's such a pleasure and an honor for me to be in your presence. Thank you for all you do to our community. And thank you on behalf of the thousands of residents that you help protect and that you are out there every day working for, who can't be up here to say thank you. I'll say it on their behalf. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, County Legislative Police Management will also share supports on behalf of Senator George Borrello, another great supporter of our police and fire.
Thank you, Andy. It's an honor and a privilege to be here on behalf of Senator Borrello, who is a very strong supporter of what you all do. You play a vital role in our communities. It takes courage to serve and protect, to be a hero, to be the one people look to at their most desperate moments. Sometimes those in uniform receive accolades when there's a battle. Every day it can involve risk and sacrifice. And every day, we're looking out for people in our community who are most vulnerable or having a tough time or experiencing a crisis or a disaster. Today we come together to honor those who lost their loved ones in the line of duty. Men and women who put themselves in the way of danger so that the rest of us can live in safety. Many of them were known by caring husband, loving wife, sister, brother, son, daughter, friend, neighbor. So to all the families whose loved one didn't come home at the end of a shift, please know how deeply sorry we are for the loss that you've endured. You know how deeply grateful we are for your loved one's sacrifice. Today we seize the opportunity to come together and honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice. So I just want to say thank you and God bless.
Good afternoon. My name is Adam McKinley, and I am here on behalf of the Kendall Club PVA to honor and recognize the recipients of the 2021 Officer of the Year Award. Each year, we receive nominations for the Officer of the Year, and this year we had 5. The purpose of this award is to recognize a member or members of the Kendall Club PVA who have displayed valor, courage for an act of outstanding personal bravery performed in the line of duty at imminent personal hazard of life, evincing a disregard for personal safety. The following officers met the qualifications for Officer of the Year and are hereby awarded. I'm going to provide a brief summary of the incidents, and at the end, if you would come forward, I'll hand you your award. On January 13, 2021, Officer Park and Officer Jake Swan responded to a house fire on Ohio Street. Once on scene, officers observed an active fire in the residence and received information that there was an elderly female still inside. Without hesitation, Officer Park and Officer Swan entered the residence and navigated through the smoke to locate the female who had sustained burns on her feet and was unable to get out of the residence on her own. These 2 officers were able to get the female out of the residence to safety, where she was provided medical attention. On October 15, 2021, Officer Eric Johansson and Officer Jose Moya were on patrol when they observed heavy smoke coming from an upstairs window at a house on North Main Street. At this point, no one had called about the fire that the officers had discovered on their own. Officers Johansson and Moya made entry into the upper apartment and crawled through the smoke in an attempt to locate any victims who could be inside. Officers located a male sleeping in a bedroom which was near the kitchen that was on fire. Officers were able to rouse the male, who slept through numerous smoke alarms, and they assisted him out of the residence to safety. Both officers suffered from smoke inhalation. However, they continued to check and evacuate the occupants from 2 other adjacent apartments. And lastly, which is probably the most well-known incident, on July 19, 2021, Officer Conklin called out over the air with a fully involved structure fire on Williams Street. Officer Conklin ran to the residence and provided the address over the air to notify other responding officers and to get the fire department rolling. Officer Conklin made contact with a younger person on the porch at the front of the house, who he carried to safety, out of harm's way. Officer Conklin learned that there were more people trapped inside the house on the 2nd floor. Officer Conklin did not hesitate to act and instructed a child and the child's mother to jump from the window, stating, "I got you." Officer Conklin caught the child and then the mother and moved them to safety. Officer Conklin's heroic, selfless, and brave actions saved the lives of these individuals. It is with great pleasure and honor, that we honor and celebrate these officers for their brave and selfless actions. I am very proud of these officers, as well as all of the officers of the Jamestown Police Department and surrounding agencies. Brian Park. Jose Moya. Eric Johansson. Jake Swan. And Mark Conklin. Now I'd like to introduce you to Pastor Ben Gehring, who is the JPD chaplain.
Good afternoon. Excuse my spectacles. Wind out of my eyes. I think first, I tried to keep everything to paper, but I think most importantly, as we start, I want to recognize that there are undivided truths that rest in this book, and man and woman of their own being cannot abide by them. And so it is by not just correction and guidance and discipline, but it is by the mentoring and partnership of the men and women that we call police in our country that help us get through and build healthy communities, to build healthy environments, healthy schools, and create an opportunity for the next generation. And so without hesitation, I would like to extend an applause to all of our officers. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of your service and of the service of those we remember during this National Police Week. Days and weeks of remembrance are important, especially to increase positive awareness of your consistent role in our community. But as the pomp and circumstance of this nationally recognized week passes, the stark reality of your role as LEOs becomes even more obvious. For 365 days a year, you rise up, you take your shift, you put on the tools of your trade, pinning the proverbial shield to your chest and taking each day on with courage, integrity, and valor. But the truth of your action and the faithfulness of your job is that you are the shield that covers the community. Your courage, integrity, and valor are the virtues that allow the good people of our city and region to lead lives in confidence of their safety and their security. For this, I say thank you. Each of you carries the burdens of shepherding the community, and those are not easily shrugged off. You are called on daily to rise above your emotions, to rise above your hurts and the pains of your experiences, to lead lives that are consistent and virtuous, all while the community around you may appear to take for granted that you are as human as the rest of us. But in superhero fashion, each of you put on the shield daily to serve, protect, and cover us all. And for that, I say thank you. The day in and day out routine of being an LEO provides so many opportunities to serve the disenfranchised, to bring calm to the chaos, to mentor the abandoned, to love the unlovable, and to protect the vulnerable, and to bring to submission wickedness. But in true fashion of being a servant of the people, most of what you do goes without notice day in and day out. But this is the truth of the matter. These trying circumstances happen every day for each of you, and you assume the responsibility as unsung heroes. We as a community do not know all that you experience because we are behind your shield. And that shield is ultimately you. For this I say thank you. The 23rd Psalm states, "Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me." Today, LEOs, you walk in the character of this verse. You are the shepherds assigned to this task at hand. And we are hemmed in by the rod and the staff, which is the law and its discipline. We are safe in the valley of death, in the chaos of this life that this world offers because of the posture you take daily to ensure it. As you stand against the evils of this day and the woes of the condition of man, you create a space for community to thrive behind the shield of your courage, of your integrity, and your valor. For this, I say thank you, and God bless. I want to take a moment of silence. We're going to present the wreath in front of PJ. And we're going to take a moment of silence and then honor those who've gone before us, not just here, but across this amazing country, who have laid down the most unbelievable sacrifice, and that is their life for the gain and the betterment of every community that they served in. security, not only over the men and women who serve, but over the families and over the greater presence in this community. We ask this in your name.
Detail, dismiss.